There you go. Started with the mic off. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a minute. Completely different setup. So, starting something new. Let's get this to do test. Just testing today. It's the first time that I'm multi-streaming also on YouTube. So that's new. We do this, I don't remember. Add, was it text? I think it was text. You do. All right, read from file, browse the file, documents to do. All right. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Background color. Background opacity. All right. And then the text size. Font Arial. Okay, that's tiny. Let's go 48. Right. Okay. This and outline. What is outline? Oh yes, we like that. Shortly text extent. All right. So what we're gonna do today, separate simulation and game logic. All right. Let's put this one here. And it's too big. So let's go down to 28. Okay. It's pretty much it. And can I, how do I do this? Custom text extents. Right. So width 400, height 600. All right, that looks kind of okay. Maybe. Make it smaller. $300. All right. Yeah, yeah. It was. I went through some changes. Yeah, obviously the selling game was released. I think it's been a couple of years probably now. Was a good experience for us. Really happy about how the game came out. Sadly, the sales were not enough to continue the project. So eventually I have to move to something else. Then there was a period that at the beginning of this year I joined Kunos Simulation again. So I worked there for a while until last November. So now I'm starting something different, something new, and see what's coming out. Yeah. Honestly, the signs were very clear. The number of wish lists and the engagement that I got from videos and other things. It's not that I released the game expecting it to become, a huge hit. But there is always a hope that, especially with the CLGP boat, I was really hoping. But it was a very difficult game. It's a very difficult game. It was very difficult to play. The subject in the game was very few people in the world, I think, have an understanding of what it means to drive those boats. So it's not like a car racing game where everybody can instantly relate, right? They can sit there and play, because everybody understands what a gas pedal is. Everybody understands the concept. I turn left and I go left. I turn right and I go right, and I brake and so on. With the foiling stuff that we were doing, the concept, even I think even for people that actually do sail, there are a lot of things that were very alien. So it was what it was. I'm still super happy about the game. I think the game looks, considering that it was the two of us, me and my wife working on it. I think the game looked great for two people, custom engine and so on. Very happy about the stability of the software. It had almost no bugs reported, no crashes. It was really happy about the software. I wish it had sold more, but racing is a big dream for a lot, but selling it's different. It's definitely less market. That was obviously something that I knew. I was not expecting to be as small as it is. Hey, Hilda, how are you doing? It? One of the few guys that is still playing the game. What I was saying, I knew that the market was small, but honestly, I was hoping for something a little bit bigger. It's sometimes as a coming from racing, it's incredible how easy it is to do something about racing, because car racing. Because the communities are so well developed right now, so you can just like if you have a new racing game, you can just go and do a post on race department or Reddit, and you instantly reaching a potential audience of hundreds of thousands of people. and if you, obviously you have more competition, right? The interesting thing about the sailing game, about Other 4 Generation, was that there was no competition. There was no simulation, sailing simulator, especially about foiling. So the hope was that being so unique, it would be instantly picked up by whatever community was online. But it was very difficult to find any community that had any kind of reaction to whatever we threw at them. Was it like a video or something? Nothing. There is this forum about sailing, which is called Sailing Anarchy, which is not a video game place. It's a sailing place. So obviously you have an uphill battle to start with, because also as a developer, if you go there and you go like, oh, here's my game, it looks like, you see what I mean? It looks like you're spamming and promoting yourself, and it's not a good look. So, you know, I tried to drop a couple of fishing rods in there. Nothing was biting. It was really difficult. There are far too many racing games. That's what I was saying. Obviously, right now, the racing has I think it's got just enough games, considering the size of the community. But you still have a chance to instantly reach your target. There was this game, what was it? There was a game. There's a single dev that is doing a game. What was it called? Racing circuit. No, it's not The Last Garage. There is a guy that is kind of doing a retro Formula 1 game. What is it called? That's not it. Yeah, this one. So what is it called? Grand Pro Circuit. Grand Pro Circuit. Yeah, there you go. And so he's doing this thing. He's just dropped it on Race Department, I think, and on YouTube, and he's instantly getting attentions. Right? Let me mute this. You know, it's not. You see, like this video. The game looks awesome. Right, it's fantastic. The first time I saw it was like, oh wow, this is great. Right, so it's got this kind of obvious Formula 1 Grand Prix Geoff Crammond vibe to it, right? So it's kind of a retro Formula 1 thing. It looks awesome. I was immediately like, oh, this is fantastic. But you can see that the engagement is there. It's 100k views. Is not a lot, but this is like one guy. 900 comments. I remember I was publishing videos of Idle 4 Generation. It was like, I don't know, like, 800 views, and it was very frustrating. It was very difficult, very, very difficult. Yeah, I think it can, obviously, it really depends on how the game is. What I'm saying is that you do something like this, which is obviously a lot of work, but it's still something that today, with today's technology, a single developer can do a lot of things, right? So you can do something like this, and you go into the racing community, and you're going to find your audience. You're going to find people that are interested in it. Right? So yeah, sadly the either full generation experience was didn't have a good result. But as I said, I'm incredibly happy about the game. The experience was fantastic. You know, being able to work with your wife on something without ending up throwing stuff at each other, and make it through a release. It was really nice, and I'm super happy about the code. Right? I think the code is really nice. The code came up really well. I'm still trying to convince the publisher to allow me to release the source code for other full generation as open source. See if anybody can pick it up. Obviously, it's a complex beast. And it's a complex beast. It's written in Rust, so there are a lot of things that can make it difficult to be picked up by open source developers. But I think it's a decent piece of software. The server side, although it's very simple, we're still talking about software made by one person. The server side, the servers have been up forever without crashing. They've been up probably for 1.5 years now. I just don't touch them and they just run. Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's interesting. Also, I think it's very different from what you see right now in the way game code is written and organized. Is completely different. So it doesn't have the ECS concept and all stuff. It's written in a very different style from what you find, which doesn't mean that the style that you find in games normally it's wrong. It's just that the type of game is wrong. So you can take advantage of the fact that things about the game. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even, so many customization possibilities. You made sure that everything was pretty accessible. We didn't even, touch the surface of it because the idea was to also release the editor, so you could create, import things like new locations, create new locations, potentially create new boats. Obviously, I think my mic is a little bit too hot. Let me reduce the gain. One thing is when you do the test by yourself, and one thing when you actually talking. So let me know if I go too quiet. So yeah, once if we release the editor, you could have created stuff in Blender, locations to start with, and import them into the game. Locations were very easy in either full generation, so it would have been a very good beginning. Boats are much more complex because you have all the physics, and obviously one of the limitations that we had was that the conventional sail stuff was not complete in either full generation. So we had wings and sails that could work very well at a low angle of attack, but when it came to other stuff like spinnaker, which are essential to make a game about traditional sailing, they were not there, and it's not really something that you can add easily. Especially the graphical part is really, really complex. So I remember I was trying to, thanks a lot for gifting subs. Thanks a lot. So I remember trying a traditional sailing situation, and just testing it by myself. It was very promising. But at a certain point, you see what I mean? It was like, okay, I can actually do this and invest another, whatever, 6 months of work to get this thing to work, and probably, you know, it wouldn't really move the needle that much. Oh, Steph Devs, you also a Jai user? Thanks a lot, Stier. Thanks a lot. So let's see if we can write some code today. There is only Jai, right? Well, Ian doesn't approve your message. I think he's streaming saying there is no Jai or something like that. I wonder if, let me check 1 second real quick if we got, if I have somebody on YouTube. Sorry guys on YouTube, I have it in another tab, so I cannot really easy. I think I will have to set up my desk differently. I will need some kind of laptop with a YouTube chat here, because yeah, I'm not used to stream in different platforms. So I'm just looking at the Twitch chat. Hey Mari. He's making, well, I think he wants to finish a game. He's got this lovely retro like kind of Red Baron style airplane game, 2D, that looks lovely. So I think he wants to just finish that. And you also might notice the time that I'm online is changed a little bit. You know, I'm living in Australia, so the times for my streams are gonna be vastly different compared to when I was in Europe. So, you mean Legendary Pilots? I have it on my wish list. Is it Legendary Pilots? Let me check 1 second. Did he put Legendary Pilot? Did he put some screens online? No. It's let me see if Ian is still online. It's another
See my cool cats.
Yeah, it's still online. It's called One Live Left, the streamer, and he's also part of the Jai beta team. And right now he's streaming, and they said there is no Jai, there is only Bip. So that's the name of the game, Bip. And it's really cute. Let me see if he puts some videos so we can. Oh yes, it's got into on Steam. So that's the one. Ian King. Yeah, so it's very retro style. Probably the planes are so small that you cannot even see them. There you go. It's very cute. I love these planes. If anybody remembers my first stream when I started Hydrofall Generation, I started from a flight simulation with the SOP with Camel. And that was my first stream. We started from that and we ended up with Hydrofall Generation. Yeah. Cool stuff. Did you go to the Perth Sail GP? Sadly, no. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm not in Perth. I'm about 30-40 kilometers from Perth, and even more far from Fremantle where they were racing, and the tickets went sold out very, very quickly. So the only thing that was left available was the beach. And honestly, I'm not really familiar with the place, so I have no idea how good it was going to be. I think SailGP is best enjoyed on TV. Seeing it live, I saw it live. I went to the Cadiz race, and I was in a very nice, VIP lounge. And it was okay, but live is on TV you can understand much better what's going on, but it's a shame. I think it was a fantastic race. It's always windy here. It's like always, every single day it's windy, so it's like one thing that you never miss in Perth is the wind. So I think it's a fantastic venue for SailGP. Maybe if I was there, I could have finished my game much early, but that doesn't work for the... Yeah, like finishing a game, sticking with it, it's incredibly hard. Like, it's so easy to go through the first iteration of your game, get to the point where you can actually play it, but then, to sit down and hammer down and actually finish it, that's really the difficult things. If I sail here, I'm looking to sail, but as you will see, my new game is about my other huge passion in life, which is my first huge passion in life. I have 3 things in my life that I did, and obviously the most successful one is programming. Thanks to, Assetto Corsa mainly. Before that, I was playing guitar and teaching guitar, and that's. But when I was a super, super young Stefano, from 8, 9 to 16, my huge passion was tennis. So I really got back into tennis, and that's what my new game is going to be about, because I want to try to combine what I really love to do in life, and combining game development with tennis. It's something that I always want to do. I learned to code doing a tennis game. Actually, my very, very first game, which wasn't really a game because you couldn't play it, but the first thing that had some graphics, back when I was in my, I don't know, maybe 16, 17 years old, the first thing that I did was a kind of volleyball game, but it wasn't a game. It was more like a passive simulation. The idea was more to do something like Football Manager, but with volleyball. I could never figure out how to actually play. But then after that, and I was still learning how to code, really. So I did like a couple of simple tennis games, and they were like, not an example of good code. They had like, super, super huge functions, globals everywhere. And it's funny that now that I'm coding in Jai, my codes kind of looks like that again, right? That's the move from something like Rust that is so forces you so much to be structured, into something like Jai that is all loosey. It's like your code goes back to the very basics. The only tennis game I know is Mario from Nintendo. Yeah, no, I mean there are tennis games, but yeah, I understand it's not. Again, I'm putting myself into a niche of a niche. Honestly, I still don't know. I still don't know what what I'm gonna do with this game. I think I know what I don't want to do. I don't want to do, you know, Sinner against Alcaraz on Wimbledon center court with attempt at realistic graphics that is going to end up looking like shit. And you know, that's what I know I don't want to do. Okay, so I want to create something that has a tennis as a game mechanic, but I don't want to create the hardcore tennis simulation. I want to try to make a game, right? But on the other hand, I don't want to go Mario Tennis, right? So I don't want to have bullets and lightning and that kind of stuff. So I still don't know. For now, what we got is this is what we got at the moment. We started to work on it with my wife about a couple of weeks ago. So this is what we got. So the idea is to see, you know, some kind of anime girl meet tennis game. Let me get the AI to play. I'm also experimenting with views. So right now there is this very interesting third-person view that I'm trying to experiment. But we were really doing like the first step. You know, you're like, we literally dropped in a couple of animations to see how it could look like. The tennis part is still is already all right. I already have a scoring system. I pretty much you can play. It's not that easy. Now you see the AI playing pretty well. If I try to play, there are way more mistakes. So we will see. We will see. Right now, everything is in flux. I tried to come up with some ideas. I did come with some ideas about making some games, but it was all a little beyond what we could realistically do, considering that it's just me and Chuck's, my wife. So all the ideas that we had were, you know, I started to think about, okay, how much content we need for this thing, and it was all a little bit beyond what we can realistically do. Tennis game looks to me like something that we can actually manage to finish into. Milking the goons. Yeah. That's the idea. I'm not playing a lot. I really don't play games a lot, but you know, I like to follow streams and watch gameplays, and there are a couple of these, especially Eastern Asian games that they're absolutely blow my mind. You know, the last one that I even tried is Ark Knights and game Ark Knights and something, and I was completely blown away. It was like ball XP but with hardcore tennis physics. Yeah, I don't know that game. You know, is that the one with the horse racing with girls? I think I know it. Yeah. I think there is definitely a potential there, but it needs to be balanced, because you know, when you try to mix genres in games, I think there is a risk that you end up, you know, the risk is that, let's say that I make games with anime girls. If you make it too much in one direction, the risk is basically, your hope is that you're making both sides interested. So people that are interested in games will be interested in it, and people that are interested in anime will be interested in it. But the risk is that you lose both of them, right? So it's like it's always a difficult balance. But hey, I mean, at least I have a feeling that I know what I'm trying to do, right? I know the game. I know tennis. I understand tennis, and I hope to give my view on it. It will not be a coding challenge. Yeah. That's. I mean, one thing that I know when it comes to coding is that until you actually do something, it's very easy to underestimate how difficult it is. So, yes, on the impression is that is probably not a very difficult game to do. But the act of balancing and make actually a game out of it is never easy. It's so every time you think something is, that's why programmers are so bad at giving estimates of it's like, how long is going to take you to do this thing? Like 1 week, and 2 months later you're still fighting with it. And the danger is exactly the same here with this game. It's like we could, I might think that it's easy to make a tennis game. I can see the challenges already. Right? Obviously, it's going to be one of the biggest challenges is going to be all the animation system. Right? The game itself, in a couple of weeks, you can have a basic game. But then to actually make it look good, which is one of the problems with the sports game. Modern sports game, they desperately try to make everything look good and smooth. But sometimes, there are things that games do. Like I remember, obviously I come from a style of game like, the old sensible soccer and Dino Dini Kickoff, and there was a game that I loved from him called Goal. So that where the mechanic is super simple, is super easy, but you had a lot of freedom. And then I remember all the FIFA started to come out, and the graphics was on another level, but you never felt the freedom to do what you really wanted, like you have in this game. I remember there were the old FIFA that the trajectory of the ball was really weird because they wanted eventually to match with the animation of the bicycle kick, and so they would change the direction of the ball mid-air, so it will exactly meet the animation or slow it down. So I don't know. I don't like that kind of game. UI is killing my estimate all the time. Oh yes, UI is like, oh man, it's like UI is very funny, right? It's like you go in a game studio, and usually the UI, the dev team is always the juniors, right? So you get the juniors, and it's you do UI because all the seniors programmer don't want to work in UI, and it's always difficult. And there is always this elusive concept of intuitive UI. And like, I only saw people claiming they want to do an intuitive UI, but I never seen one, unless it's the UI that I do, because they obviously intuitive for me because I did it, right? So they made sense to me because I did it. So it's a very elusive concept. They have to do it because no one wants to do it. Nobody wants. It's incredibly hard. Have you made 2 games with the same programming language? At the beginning of my career, I did everything in C++. So all the racing stuff was all C++, from Netcar to Assetto Corsa competizione. Assetto Corsa Evo. There isn't much on my code in Assetto Corsa Evo. Well, there is some code left from in the physics from Assetto Corsa Competizione, but as far as new code in Assetto Corsa Evo, I don't think I wrote anything. I don't think so. So yeah, so I was C++ guy for a very long time, but I always dabbed in. I was never happy, so I was always looking for something different. In fact, for example, and as soon as I could try, I would try. Like for example, in Assetto Corsa 1, the server is written in Go, which at the time just went 1.0, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna use this to do the server. Then I didn't work on the server for Competizione, so I think the server in Competizione is written in C#. Also C#, I tried many times to get the mix of C++ and C# work. But yeah, so I would say all the Assetto Corsa stuff and the Netcar stuff is C++. And then Hydrofoil generation is Rust. And then my new game is probably going to be Jai. I feel like Jai is pretty much perfect. The only problem with Jai is Jonathan Blow. That's the thing that gives me nightmare, because obviously investing your time on a language that is at the moment in beta with no signs of ever being released, that is totally dependent on one person, and the person in charge is not yeah, it's like it's dangerous, let's put it this way. Yes, exactly. If something happens to him, God forbid, it's like this thing is dead, right? So if we're, if you get bored, if you get very dissatisfied with the result of the sinking star, it could just throw everything, and then it's dead, right? Right, actually, yeah, I've been thinking about this for a long time, to the point that, for the longest time I had like my engine in Rust and my engine in Jai pretty much on the same level, and I kept building them to the point that I had to decide one. I actually even started the tennis game also in Rust to get a feeling for it. I just enjoy more working in Jai, so I hope it all goes well with Jai. I think it's a fantastic technology, but it needs to be open, right? It's already, I think it's already missing so much, because it's already so much better than whatever you can think about, Zig, Odin. It's so much better already, but people don't know. Can I ask you your pro opinion? Have you seen the guy and the great? Yes, the guy that produced. I've seen his video. The procedural, creating procedural engine sound is not a new concept. I think we had something like that happening at a certain point, and if you find the very first release of yes, okay, I remember now, there was a technology that was called staccato, and had this idea of replicating the audio for the engine. So I'm talking about 2001, right? I'm talking about 25 years ago. And the very first release of Netcar Pro, had a procedural generated engine. So I think the potential is there. It's always going to be really difficult to match the quality of a sample-based system. So you get a lot of you get a lot of interactions. Like, you can do a lot of things with the sound. The sound is very reactive to what you're doing in the game. But when it comes to the final quality, it becomes much harder to match, what you can do with the sample. So it's like, it becomes a marketing problem. I mean, back in Netcar, it's like, I loved how reactive the entire thing was, but Marco hated it because it sounded like a Commodore 64 game. And he was right. When we changed it to a sample base, it was a big change. So you stick with C++. I don't know, man. I was really, I haven't touched C++ since I left Kunos Simulazione. When I rejoined and I had to work again in C++, it was, oh man, I hate that thing. I really hate it. It's like, once you experience something better, which is obviously Rust, Rust is like one spectrum on this side, and Jai is on the other side, right? They're as far as possible they could be from each other, but they're so much better than C++ that it's very difficult for me to go back to C++. Obviously, it's very nice because every SDK is C++, so you never have problems of, oh my God, now I have to figure out how to write a binding for this library and blah, blah, which is very annoying. One other thing that obviously is happening these days is all the unfortunate stuff that is happening with Windows. So I moved a lot of my stuff to Linux, which I think at the moment is in a much better place than it used to be. I'm always been a Microsoft guy, but right now the situation is pathetic. And one thing that I really liked about my Rust stuff is that it would just work on Linux. End of the story. While with Jai is a little bit more complex, I have a couple of stuff that I always need to recompile. In this game, I don't think I'm going to use a physics engine. The physics engine was a major pain. I was trying with physics, and I couldn't really get it to work with Linux. And then I'm using now Jolt, but Jolt is so disgustingly C++ that you have to write a C API over it, which is very annoying. Yeah, I mean the lifetime of your project is it depends how much code you have, right? So if you have a lot of code in C++, obviously you don't want to throw it away. So it would be great to artificial sound, but not for replication. Probably, but also difficult to create the power, right? You felt like a boomer for sure. I will switch away from Windows. Yeah, I'm still not ready completely to switch, but yeah, it is not in a good place. If John disappeared tomorrow, I would continue using the current version, implement the compiler. Or someone will. I mean, I don't think it's that easy. I mean, I think the amount of work that went into the Jai compiler is not trivial. It's incredibly complex, and it just shows that, you know, John is a genius as a programmer. So I don't think it would be that easy. I don't think it will be that easy, but, you know, I really believe that he should start the process. Like, because a language is not just a language, it's all the ecosystem around it, right? You need a good LSP. You know, I do some contribution to the Jai LSP called Giles, but it's not at the level, obviously, of what you get with something like Rust. You know, for me, Rust and Rust Analyzer, like it's a combo that is pretty much unbeatable right now. You know, the flow that you get into, you know, with the way that Rust Analyzer helps you through development, right? You write a match case, and then, you know, you can have all the cases written down automatically by Rust Analyzer. You write like a struct. You want to essentially it's a struct, and all the fields come out. You know, it's like it's fantastic, right? It's part of the language. Sadly, John doesn't believe in that. So obviously, nothing from Tekla comes when it comes to LSP. But the design is the art part. I don't know. I don't have enough experience in languages to know what is the balance between implementation and design. I think Jai is very dependent on the concept of being very fast to compile, which is something that is a little bit worrying, because one thing that I like, obviously, for the moment in my experience with Jai, is like the debug builds are playable. Obviously, I'm not doing heavy calculation stuff. I'm not doing heavy physics or things like that. But in debug mode, loading a GLTF file in Jai is faster than loading it in C++ release mode is implementing. It's amazing. Implementation and design, there should be a triangle with control in mind. Yeah. I don't know. I never. Well, I did a little bit of experiment writing a language, but it's not my thing. So I really don't know how difficult it is to make it fast like Jai. But I also think that if you are a game programmer, writing fast code is just your default mode. So I think probably comes very natural to John, and it doesn't even notice it. Right? It's just the natural way you write code if you're a game programmer. There are many people that can implement Jai, but only John has been able to design it. Right? I'm sure. Right. Let's have a look 1 second very quickly at the YouTube. Do you find the AI helpful with coding? I don't really use it. I experimented with it a couple of times, but I found that it was more a distraction than a help. This is love how the hell I see sunlight. I'm in Australia. Mystery solved. All right, let's try to do this thing. So right now we have this game. The way this is working is this is extremely the entire concept, like many sports game, it's all about timing, right? So the how well you time your, so the idea of this game is that if I press a key, I get into kind of preparation, right? And then as I release the key, I swing. So the entire concept is, you know, so while I'm preparing, I can set the target for my shot, so the yellow thing in there, right? And the entire idea is that the better your timing is, the more your shot is actually going where you intended to go. So the first thing that is surprising about tennis is how fast things are. So, so you start to do some quick calculations, and if we play this at 60 frames per second, and we want to give like a huge range of a huge range that you actually hit the ball, right? We're still talking about, if you start to get a decent speed tennis, we're immediately talking about 6 frames, right? To go from completely missing the ball and making a disaster, and the ball can go everywhere, to a perfect shot, right? So obviously we want a little bit more skill than that, right? We want to have more control. So the idea, my first thing was like, all right, okay, so let me run a thread where I'm basically polling the gamepad like crazy. So I'm literally spinning in this thread, then polling the gamepad. And every time I get a button pressed from the gamepad, from this thread, I mark it with a timestamp, put it into a queue, and that basically gives me a concept that is independent of how quickly we're running. And that was kind of working, but then I said, all right, okay, so this is stupid. So I started to think about what I really need right now is a kind of replay system that allows me to see what the AI is doing, why it's choosing a certain shot, why it's going into a certain position, something that I need to replicate and see things maybe in slow motion and stuff like that. And what I noticed was that my code was, there is like the game part with the animation is just too interlocked with the simulation part, and making a replay system will be really messy. And one thing that I like of all the game that I've been doing for the last 20 years is this concept of having the simulation running, which has its own data structure, its own stuff, a logic, one side. And then we have the representation of what's going on. And the representation doesn't really know about what is the detail about the simulation. What is, you know, they agree on a data structure that the gameplay representation can present the game with. And one of the nice thing about this system, or organizing the system this way, is that making a replay system becomes super easy, right? Because making a replay system just becomes a matter of stuffing all your simulation states into a queue, and then you send it back to the presentation, and there you go. And now you have the game showing you whatever happened, right? So, so I said, okay, so I should probably start to separate the concept of simulation with the concept of, you know, gameplay. So having these two things separated. And then I said, all right, I'm already completely destroying a core of this system by spinning a thread that is just checking on the gamepad, right? So I say, well, you know, I can just run the entire simulation on that thread anyway. I'm gonna, you know, using as I use it with Assetto Corsa, and basically replicate exactly the same architecture that I have with Assetto Corsa and with hydrofall generation, where you have a thread with the simulation running at very high frequency. You know, we could try to go for 500 hertz, so 2 milliseconds, and then it's firing, you know, every 2 milliseconds is calculating the situation, it's sending a simulation state, and then the game runs as fast as it can, and it's just showing the last physics state, simulation state. In Assetto Corsa and hydrofall generation, these are called physics state, but in this case, I'm gonna try to use a simulation state idea. Right, so the idea, what we're gonna start to do is to separate this into different files, so we start to have an idea of what is what, right? Which side is what. So let's create a new tennis sim. We'll call it sim file that we will import from here. Interesting Jai thing. The include import is usually at the end of the file. Tennis sim. So in Jai, load is like an include in C++. So it's literally taking the text from this file and is putting it in this other file. Right, so let me close all this stuff. Okay, so what we're going to need here is, first of all, the simulation run, right? The new Windows game input API gets you precise timestamps without running a polling thread. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Game input API. It's very interesting because if you can do this, I didn't know about this at all. Do they have already something? Game input. So is this? So this is the Tekla code that comes with Jai. For gamepad, I wonder if this game input, that's what it is. No, that's not the one. iGame input. That looks Microsoft-y. iGame input. Yeah, it looks like it is that. Get current reading, get next, get previous reading, get temporal reading. The problem is, yeah, I mean, it's good because we already have this binding, but it's behind this thing. Yeah, it's behind the define. So it's a module parameter. It's a module parameter. So you can, that there is defaulting to false. The problem is that in the, so question number 1, is this already supported in on Proton? Because the big target for this game, obviously, is going to be our friend here, the Steam Deck. Is now available. Okay. Okay. So that's promising. I might have to do some thinking. You know, this is a very interesting thing. Definitely, I mean, we is not a big API, right? So we can just re-implement all this stuff the way we want it. Because the Tecla system doesn't have a concept of timestamps, I think. So when we get our gamepad, there is no way to really get to that info. So we either have to create our own version of this. Let me see. Gamepad, buttons, connected. Generate events. Generate left stick events. Generate the stick rotation angle. No, there is no concept of timestamp. It's loading it at runtime. Does it work? Like, use game input. Is it like this? I don't remember how you do the parameter. Windows use game input. How is it? I don't remember how to do this. It's the opposite. Okay. So this should be using game input. Ah, all right. Okay. So it start to fail straight away here. Okay. So can I do this in a set? No, there is no way to do this. All right. So does it work? Yes, it works. All right. So okay. Okay, so we have this gamepad stage. Yes, what we got here. We don't have any information about the timestamps. Oh, racing wheel state. Very interesting. Finally, Microsoft is writing. I didn't know anything about this thing. Input string, input is time. Get current timestamp. Get temporal reading. Is this giving me the reading of... Does it have a queue? Get temporal reading. Is it reading the state at a certain time? Set haptic motor state. Get current timestamp. Get temporal reading. Because this could be exactly what we did. This function is not yet implemented. What the hell? Is not implemented. You will get readings which you can iterate in various ways or get through a callback, then call get timestamp reading. What is it? Is it a member of this reading? Get timestamp. All right, this is what you're saying. Retrieve the microsecond timestamp associated with the reading. I'm still not sure though, because I will still have to pull this from a different thread. Because the method that is really interesting is this one, this get temporal reading, which is really interesting, where basically what I'm saying is, can you give me the state of the device at this timestamp? What it says is this function is not implemented. Target style to simulate device state. So 500 milliseconds in the past and 100 milliseconds in the future. how do they do the future? How do they do the future? Right. It sounds interesting, but I don't think I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole at the moment. It looks like, but it's nice to see Microsoft were finally working on a replacement. Just curious to see if they're doing something for the steering wheel that is actually. Hold on, because is game input V0? Hold on. Because we are a V3. They also have X input on game input. So basically you can just code X input and run it in there. So let's see 1 second. It was here, methods get. Okay, they got rid of it. So in the version 3, they got rid of the temporal idea. Set force feedback motor gain. Motor index master gain. This is awesome. Awesome. I have to pass the information to the guys in Kunos Simulazioni. This is fantastic. Create force feedback effects. This is what we don't want, right? We just want to motoring thing. So that was just a gain? I don't think so. I think big, you know. Okay, you can create all this stuff, but interesting, but okay. That's a cool API. Good job, Microsoft. You can hold on the last reading. I was going to say, be careful with the docs version. Yeah, you can all. I personally use device callback. Okay, but extract the info and then buffer it. Okay, but is the callback running on its own thread? Does it say that? So I imagine it's a callback on here, some kind of set callback or something. Register device callback. All right. Register a function to be called wherever a device is called. Allow the function to be called when the properties is not this one, right? It's called on their own thread. Okay. Okay. But this is not the right callback, right? Register reading callback. Here it is. Register a function to be called when a new reading arrives in the input stream. It's interesting, it doesn't say anything about threading. Or you get lattice reading and iterate backwards from that. I see what you mean. So there was like get previous reading or something like that. Is it gone? Reading. It's gone, that previous reading. Get previous reading. Ah, so you can actually even do this on the main thread. This is exactly what we need. This is exactly what we need, because we can do it on the main thread. So we go back until we get something that we already have. And then we have the history, and then the code works exactly the way my code works right now, because at a certain point, for example, when I do the step player controls, yeah, I have this current input state. No, where is it? Where do I update this? Yeah, update input. So I make it, I take it from the queue. So basically it will work like that. So the only other difference is going to be make sure that the timestamp agrees with my timestamp. So I could have everything in a single thread if this thing works. So the real question is how well it works, how well it's supported. And that's the main question, which I don't know. Anyway, very cool stuff, very interesting stuff. Let's do this, because once we have this, we can run it on the main thread and just work it, right? So we're gonna divide this concept anyway. All right, so what we're gonna have, we're going to have, so we're going to start to separate the concept of, let's call everything sim. So we're gonna have the sim player, right? And then we're gonna have the player. Right? And they are different concepts. Right. So we're gonna have this. So we know that we're gonna have a simulation state. Okay. In the simulation state, so we know we're going to have a sim player state. Right, so we're going to have players, sim player state. Thanks a lot, Steph Devs. See you around. Cheers, cheers, cheers. All right, so this is going to be position. And it's going to have a shot. Yeah, we like this. So this ends up in the game here. And all the stuff. So shot type, shot sequence, no, shot type, shot state or shot site, all this stuff goes into the gameplay. Gonna move a lot of stuff in here. All right. Or, hold on, we can have a state. Let's see, player state. Okay, that sounds good. Then we're gonna have the ball for sure. Ball. So the ball. Okay, let's see which part of the ball we want. So it's gonna be a symbol. Okay, so we don't need a 3D model for it. We don't need a position history, do we? We don't. We don't. We don't need a blur timer. This is all graphic stuff. But we need a project ball result for the projected trajectory. We need this, I think. So, yeah. So all this stuff all goes into the game, in the simulation. And they're gonna have project ball mode. Step ball result. For sure, fine shot velocity is gonna go there. Step ball mode, step ball result, step ball is all simulation stuff. All goes here. This becomes a pointer to a sim player. All these constants about the court size, bullshit, all this stuff becomes ball radius. All this stuff, I think, goes into the physics. All of it, right? Yep. Right. Okay, so the court, we have a model and then we have this thing. So these are stuff for the physics, so we need a struct called sim court or court data, whatever, and it's got these. I lost them. It's got these, right? And on the game side, we just have the model. And this is a sim court. Okay, so down here, this becomes sim court friction, sim court bounds. Net height at POS, definitely need it in the simulation. Yep. And for sure, ball hit, we will need it there eventually. So let's start to put this one. So right now we're just moving stuff around. Okay, so our sim is gonna have players. It's gonna be 2 sim player. Gonna have a ball, which is a sim ball. All right. So we go back here. This is gonna be sim. Okay. Sim. Okay, and we're not gonna do this, right? So the audio is gonna be now on the game side. So what we're gonna have events, right? So the idea is that we're gonna have events. No, we're going to have simulation state. We're gonna get events, right? And it's gonna be a dynamic array of tennis events, right? Where tennis events is a struct, and tennis event type is gonna be, let's do it in a JI, so they tend to use kind, right? And so for example, this is gonna be a bounce. Okay, so here we're gonna have a kind, tennis event kind, right? And then we're gonna have a union, bounce, structure, and it's gonna be where the ball was and the velocity of the ball, right? So the idea is that when what we were doing, that play audio, this one, instead what we're gonna do is array add sim. Okay, so let's have here like a temporary array of events, and then I will think about tennis events. So sim events, and we add our tennis event. Okay, there's gonna be kind is, oh, I need to fix this thing in Giles. It doesn't give me the enum, so the type is gonna be bounce, and then bounce. I'm not sure I can do this. I should be able to do this. Position is symbol No, it's going to be boss. And vel. Is it a comma? I don't remember. Okay. Okay, that looks good. But we should put the event should tell me the speed before the bounce. Speed and position before the bounce. Right. And then on the game thread, we will look at those events and play the sound. Something like that. Right. So far so good. So let's go up here. What's wrong here? This tennis event. Tennis event. All right. So this is all clear. So let's do same step, and we will do BT. Don't need this, and it's gonna give us a simulation state, right? All right. So what it's going to do is step the ball. Step up ball. Okay. All right. So I think all this thing. Right. So I think this. So. So we're going to have step ball. Step ball. It's a little bit shitty. Let's call it seam step ball. I don't know. I have to think about this. So we do this, right? So we get here. This is all. This is not needed. So we step the ball here. Same. Okay. And then seam sim. All right. Okay. Hello, I miss your streams. Thanks. I'm trying to do this again. New game, new streams. Let's see how it goes. Right. So, what time it is? 9:25. I'm gonna go for another 10 minutes, and then I make myself a coffee and a break. My brain is still not working fast as it should. So this is like, maybe we don't need to do this. Right, so maybe this can just go there. Fine, that's fine. Okay, but then we have this. So this is our update ball. Let me make sure that I have this code here, so I remember this is like the training session, which is good. Okay. So what is happening is that if bounce, right? So if the ball bounce on the court, right? So if res did bounce, we do the event, right? So array add sim events, right? And we add sim tennis. We don't need, I think, to tell it what it is, right? And kind is gonna be bounce again, right? And bounce is going to be boss equal res boss. Again, probably we want the velocity, the position before the bounce, so we pass the one before ball boss, and then velocity, we want the velocity before the bounce. Okay, so we add the event, and then if we hit the net, res did hit the net, we do the pretty much the same thing, and we add net hit, right? And the net hit is gonna have the same parameters pretty much as that. So we go up, net hit. By the way, John is adding a new syntax to do this kind of tagged union stuff. I'm not using it yet because it confused the LSP. So I'm just using the basic enum together with a struct with a union. So we got pretty much the same information here. Right, so fair enough. Okay. So the idea here is that what we do, so let's see how this would work, right? So if we do update, when we do update tennis level, okay, we change the camera, fine. We toggle the eye, fine, whatever. Okay, then we were doing this thing with the input, right? We're not going to do this anymore. So the way this is going to work is that in single thread, what we're going to do is okay. So how this is going to work? So instead of sim step, let's do like this. Let's do like this for now. So let's make this private. What we do is like sim run until time, something like that, right? And this is going to be a float 64, right? And so for now, we could return. So for now, let's do this. Let's return. This is going to be very. I don't like this. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So let's do it in a very super dirty way. So we're going to do states, right? Is gonna be a bunch of simulation state. Okay, so the idea is that what we do here, and then we also have a now plot 64. All right, so how does it work? So first thing is if now we resync the time, right? From this to this, right? So we go from sim now to now, right? So now sim now equals now, okay. Then while sim now is less than now, physics dt, what we do is sim step, right? And what we do is so what we do is at the beginning of this, we do simulation events count 0, which is basically resetting our array of event without deleting the memory. So then we do sim step and we do state equal this, and we do array add simulation states. That's not the event, is the simulation states. All right. Simulation state. All right. That sounds good. So here, basically what we do is sim run until time 10 is now. Actually, we don't need this 10 is now. We don't need it, right? It's time now. Fair enough. So now we have the events, and we can work on those events. So this doesn't exist anymore. So we do the update ball now is only for one step. Let's see if I can get to the point where I have the ball coming from the physics, right? Just that. So we keep the step player like this for now, if we can. Let's get rid of this. Okay, what other problems we have here? Nothing. That's this build. Not even close. Okay, so update input state game. Okay, so this is let's go like time now. Update ball. Okay, now we can work on this one. What we can do, we can probably should do like a function just update. We have already update audio. Update. Not really, we don't. Okay, so update audio. And what we can do is so we cycle the events. Which events? That's the point. Hold on. Because when I do update tennis level, so here we do the sim run. So now the events are there. So to simulate our multi-thread system, what we're going to do is we should also have on the game side, we should have our own list of upcoming events, right? So in tennis, we should have our list of simulation states. Simulation state, and also our own list. Although that simulation state should really have also an event, so the simulation state should also have the events. Is it a separate concept or is it the same concept? It will make memory management more tricky. Because basically what is going to happen is that, okay, we already have this event in here. The problem is how we're going to handle this memory. But we don't care about this now. That's the nice thing about Jai. You don't have to worry about this for now. So we're going to leak and we don't care. So the idea is that when we do the run, or even when we do the state, so when we do the sim step, so when we do the sim step, we should clear the event. So we should do here a sim events count 0, right? And then we do an array copy. How does it work, array copy in Jai? That's what we need. All right, so we're going to do state. It's getting confused on simulation state. Because we have another simulation state for, I have like a kind of racing game in this thing. Let's see if I can actually P2A. Let's see if I can avoid importing any car stuff. Okay, so if I don't import this, how much stuff breaks? Who knows? Okay, so events. So we copy the same events to that, right? So now we have the events in the simulation state. All right, so the idea here is that when we do the update tennis level, so we do the simulation, then we do the same thing basically for now. So what we do, so this simulation states, okay. We do copy array. All right. And what we do is same simulation states from here. We have tons of errors because of all the stuff that gets included. I need to get rid of all the somebody's still importing car. Let's see what we got here. That's not the one. So who is importing car? Level loading. Okay. Still importing car Jai. Who is doing this? Car Jai. Who is importing this? Main. Ah, I have a main. There you go. Okay. Okay. So in level tennis, we don't know font is. Is font my stuff? I think it is my stuff. It's from the, yeah, it's from the, import, what it was called, JV retained UI. Okay, that's better. Then we need the mutex, which is probably thread. Okay. Shader name track. Somebody's importing track. Track J is in main. So let's get rid of this as well. And then car avatars. Render physic info. All right. Copy array copy. Array copy. Okay. Get it there. So we're back in a situation where we want to do the audio stuff, I think. All right, so the audio stuff is going to be like so what we're going to do, we're going to cycle all the events. We're going to cycle all the states, all the events in all the states. So simulation states, right? For have in as events. All right. All right. And then we're going to be if event kind equals, and this is the new thing that I added in jails, should work case. Yeah, you go. So if it is a bounce, wonder why I'm doing this. If sign of is not, I wonder why I was doing that check. That doesn't make any sense. Ah, this audio out. Ah, this is checking if the ball is out. All right. Right. So this should happen in the physics, right? So tennis sim, same step ball, blah, 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 blah. So basically, so if it is bouncing, we put the bounce, and we also, if same ball bounce count equals 0. Who is updating the ball bounce count? Who is updating this? Here it is. This is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. This one is wrong. So who was updating this? The ball bounce. Here it is. If did bounce. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So if did bounce. Okay. So let's do this. So sim ball bounce count plus equal 1. So if it is the first bounce. Che c'è, Kunos? You want to say hello? You want to say hello? We run this code. Okay, so if the ball bounce, This is weird, this code. I don't understand why this if is here. Anyway, so we added an event, I think. Let's add it always, and then I will remember why, I guess. Don't remember why that code is there. Ball out detected. Right. Ball out detected and ball out detected structs. I don't know if I need a velocity, but we will see. All right, so that looks okay. So the idea, so back into this one now. So the idea here is that so this is what we do if the ball bounces, right? So if in case the ball bounces, we take the event velocity, event bounce velocity, and we play the audio. Very well. If is a net hit, okay. Where is it? Net hit. We do this. And this is going to be event net hit. All right. And then is going to be a ball out detected. We play the we do what we were doing here. This one. Clear enough. So this is not needed. This is not needed. This is not. Okay. So now. Okay. So we have to do this thing about the physics, the blur. So let's make it very simple. Let's do for simulation state in tennis simulation states. All right. Then it's a blur timer. Fair enough. Fair enough. And then we're gonna get the what we can do is tennis ball position equal SS. We don't have the ball in the simulation state. Simulation state, right? Ball, tennis ball. Is it too much information? Symbol, maybe it's too much information. What we got here? We got position, velocity, spin, number of bounds, projected trajectory. No, that's too much. The problem is that we don't want to repeat this information all the time. All right, for now, let's embed the struct here. So gonna be a position, it's gonna be a velocity. Let's start with the position, and then we will think about it, right? Because we need a position here. So what we want to do is tennis ball position equal SS ball position. All right. So we do this. Ta 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 ta. Va bene. Tennis ball post. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Update tennis level. We need to do so this is the audio. So let's do update audio. All right, and we put this stuff in there. That's not the one. Let's call it tennis audio. Okay. Does it build? Not yet. Is position in? Is in here somewhere? Is position in? Yeah. Let's take all this. Bring it in the simulation. Court side. Right. So we need to know which court. So we need a court side on the player. Sim player. Court side. Float. Player old boss. Let's get to the point where we can do this properly. Session mode. So this is going to be sim session mode. There is one thing that is really complicated here because okay, session mode, session tennis session mode. Okay, so shot counter. course, AI control is going to be part of the. Sadly, you know, we have to go all the way. It's not a refactor that we can do one step at a time. We have to go all the way. And one thing that I really don't like is I don't like the fact that I can see this tennis. This is very dangerous. The fact that I can see this tennis in here is not good. It makes things really, really dangerous. So I think one thing is to get rid of this global. That's what we will have to do. Also the score. Good question. Like, okay, where does the score live? Right. The score. So we either have something shared between the two threads. It's a low frequency thing, but it can create a lot of weird situations. We just want to write the score on the physics side. I'm getting quite hot, actually. Yes, please. It's a much bigger change than I thought, honestly. So this score thing is interesting because this is absolutely needed on both sides. And the question is it an event? Do we send an event where we update the score? The problem with the score is it's got lots of dynamic stuff. So is it an event? Is it something that we share with the mutex? I really don't know. Anyway, we will have to figure it out. For now, we are not really multi-thread, so we can treat it like that, but it's really... Every time I read tennis here, it shouldn't exist. So I should get rid of these globals here. No way around it. No way around it. Right, so what we got? Where are we? Is player serving? Right. this is a player, it's not a, it's a session mode. Shot counter. Hold on. So it's looking for a shot counter. And we have the same problem. Where is this shot counter live? Where does it live? Because who's calling this? Nobody's calling it. Ah, here it is. So where are we? Step player. So this is going to live on the other side for sure. Oh man, this is really, really a mess. This is really a mess. It's nice to be able to check ideas very quickly, but then, you know, you pay the price when you get into this situation where you're trying to actually organize it. And when it comes to differences in programming languages, this is very clear example of what is happening. What I don't understand, I do understand because, yeah, he can see tennis. He can see tennis. Is it so scope file, so he can see tennis, but he cannot see player. This is something that is really strange in Jai. Like you see, like so this tennis global variable that we have is one thing. One of the things that I like less in Jai is the scoping. So tennis. So first of all, it's very difficult to see where you are in the file, right? So you look at this and it's like, okay, is this scope file or is scope module? Hey, Joker Dan, how you doing? How you doing? It's going great. Going great. Moved to a new place. Started the new game. So yeah, it's going great. So yeah, I was saying, this one thing that I don't like. Like, because how do I know if this thing is public, right? Module or file? The only way that I can know this is by looking for scope file and compare the lines, right? So scope file is line 55 and tennis, no, where are we? And tennis is line 238. So you will think that this is a scope file, right? But it's not, right? Because once I'm here, I can see the stuff with tennis. But player, which is, again, a scope file structure, I don't see it, right? So that's very weird. I find it really weird. And there is something that it's uber weird. Like if you, like for example, if you use this kind of, syntax where basically I'm importing something into this, right? Into you kind of create this, would be like a local namespace or something like that, where everything goes there, right? So every time I want to call something that is in here, now I have to use emGUI, right? EmGUI dot. I don't have anything here, funny. Or gamepad dot. What is happening is that if you do that, then all the stuff that is scope filed into that module becomes visible. Which is super weird. So if you don't namespace it, you can only see the stuff that is external. If you namespace it, you can see everything that is inside that module, which is very unfortunate because I really like the, if it was for me, I would be namespacing everything, right? But then, and I remember at a certain point when I started to work with Jai, it became really confused because like, okay, why I can see this thing if it is scope file? And the reason was that I was accessing it through the, to the namespace functionality here. So it's really weird. And the reason is that I think the way John thinks about these things is not really preoccupied of encapsulating access to stuff. I think his preoccupation is name matching, name pollution, right? So you do this if you want to, if you want to disambiguate between two functions that have the same signature, if you understand, the same name and stuff. So you do that so you cannot clash with signature. So he's more preoccupied of that, of name. So I think the way he likes to code, he really doesn't like prefixing stuff, right? He likes that the code is as clean, less noisy as possible. All the information I need, and then it's handled by the compiler, which is understandable. But in this case, for me, like, I would really love to have this tennis to be private, right? I would really love, not exactly like this. Obviously, I could create an actual struct with this, which is probably what I should do, right? Instead, so probably it's an exception because it's a kind of a global, so it's treating it in a different way. So here I cannot see player, so this should have, this becomes sim player now, and now I cannot see player control state, which is all right because these are all stuff, player control state, right? So all this stuff should go there, but this makes things even more complex, right? So something that I really thought I would get it done in, no, this is getting ridiculously complex. All right, we have to keep going. What time it is? Let me have a quick break and a coffee. Can you press the button? Maybe, can you press the button? Actually, during my coffee break, I thought about something. Let me very quickly. There is Nixos. I don't know if you're still on YouTube. Sadly, I wasn't reading. And he was asking about Kunos. When you return to work for Kunos, that the game could be saved. I don't think the game needs to be saved. Whether I left because you completed your role or because you chose to leave for personal reason. A combination of factors. A combination of factors, like it's usually the case. I moved to Australia, so interacting with the rest of the team in Europe was quite difficult, to be honest. It made it was very difficult. It was very difficult because it forced me to work late afternoon. You know, my brain tends to work early morning, like the 10 o'clock in the morning right now. So I tend to be very active in the morning and I tend to become really, really lazy in the afternoon. So it was quite difficult. I tried to adapt, but I could never. And, you know, and that was in the period where in Italy was summer saving time. So our distance was closer. And then we were going through the winter where they switch. It became really, really difficult for me. The other reason is that I feel like what is needed at the moment in Kunos Simulazione is not really something that I'm good at. I'm good at, I think, designing systems and taking decisions when it comes to technologies and things like that. And obviously joining a project after they've been working on it for 4 or 5 years, all the choices, all the decisions are already taken. And I happen not to agree with a lot of technical decisions that were taken, but you know, don't take this in the wrong way. I think it's very normal for programmers to disagree about technology. That's why, you know, you go in any programmer community, and people even argue about how to indent the code, or it's endless stuff. So programmers most of the time tend not to agree. So me saying that I don't agree with the choices they made doesn't say anything, because probably, you know, you will always find people that don't agree, even in the same team. At a certain point, you have one guy that has to decide, and it's just the way it is. And so in my case, I was in this situation where, in theory, I was, you know, the CTO, but I was a CTO of a project that I don't, where technological decision didn't really make sense for me. And I couldn't change them, right? I couldn't really make big changes. So I think what is needed right now is somebody that is there, and it's like a people person that stays there and makes sure that everybody's doing their job. And I'm not that guy. I'm not. You know, every time in my career that I found myself faced with the idea of having to become that, I'm always felt very uncomfortable. The thing that I like to do is code, right? So I left because I felt like there was nothing that I could give in this stage. And I think I think the company has to, Kunos Simulazioni is going through a phase. It was a company that obviously had a very strong technical oriented leadership, and now, you know, the leadership is not technical oriented anymore. They have to go through what they have to go through. You have to go through making decisions and deal with those decisions. Sometimes paying the price for those decisions is part of growing, is dealing with mistakes, right? And things that don't work out exactly the way you want. And you need to work even harder to try to adjust them. And I felt that I wasn't the right person to do that kind of a job. It's honestly a job that I don't know how to do. The only way that I know how to motivate people is to lead by example, by working harder and try to produce something that will make it easier for people to do what they want to do. Through code, right? Not through talking, not through meetings. No, it's not something that I enjoy. So I did what I could, but at a certain point, you have to. There were reasons why I originally left, and the reasons are still there. Also, honestly, I'm not into racing games anymore. As simple as that. I don't find it exciting. I don't find any excitement into working on these things. Also because I feel like I personally hit the wall. Like I know what would be needed to be improved, but I don't know how to improve it. Right. So I know that sim racing at this stage needs a much better AI, right? But I don't know how to do it, right? I don't know how to make something better than what we have in Assetto Corsa Competizione. So for Evo, they did the right thing, I think, which is try a different approach. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do, and I really hope that things will work out because, you know, obviously I I love the guys that are in there. And I think part of the technology is incredible. You know, all the free roam, big map stuff, it's very impressive. There are parts of the renderer that are amazing. There are a couple of super new talented guys that are working on the graphic engine that are really, really good. So I think the graphic engine is really a gem. But everything else became very frustrating. We are, when it comes to sim racing, we are at a point of incredibly small, like diminishing returns, right? Where if you want to improve wherever you have by 0.1%, you have to put 10 times the effort. And everything becomes complex, becomes big. It makes me laugh because, you know, for me, big is 30 people. And 30 people is incredibly small considering what Kunos is trying to do. But for me, it's already big. It's like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel, you know, I don't like to, I'm not the kind of person that, because you have to do so much planning. You know, the more people you add, the more planning you need to do. You can't just wake up in the morning and go like, all right, this morning I'm going to do this. This morning I'm going to do that. And I'm lucky enough to be in a situation where I can decide to just do this for fun, and working on my own project is way more fun than try to, you know, to be a team leader and tell people what to do, which is not really nice. I mean, it's not what I like. There are people that love it, right? There are people that want to be that. They want to be managers, they want to be leaders and so on. I'm not like that. Yeah, exactly. It's always been my problem. You know, I enjoy coding and that's it, right? I don't enjoy anything else. I can kind of do the marketing thing if I'm really forced to, like I did with Hydrofoil Generation. I never feel comfortable doing it. But, you know, if it is a small part of what I do, I do it. If it is the only thing I do, it becomes really, really hard. So yeah, in a nutshell. Hey, Ian, I was talking about you, Ian. I don't know if you're still in chat. I was talking about your game. Yeah, I was. Yeah, no, because there's a guy that came in chat and said there is only Jai, and I was like, Ian doesn't agree. He said there is no Jai, there is only Bip. Yeah. Sometimes I stop by. I love the game. I'm very jealous. I really love the game. I really love. But you should have used Jai. Yeah, you should have used Jai to do it. I imagine you have too much code already to consider the idea. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And I was like, I think probably you really want to finish it at a certain point. Yeah, I understand that. I understand the feeling. Yeah. But I love it. It looks great. It looks great. I used to play that game, that kind of game. I didn't do Rust for a selling game. Well, I'm actually, you know, I was very happy. I was very happy with Rust. I think it's, I think for my use case, like single dev, probably is a little bit overkill. I think in a big team, I think it's definitely a step above C++. But obviously the easiness of C# with Unity is unbeatable, absolutely unbeatable. When you want to work on something, it's like no doubt. I just wish they would finish the migration to Netcore. That would really convince me. You know, the moment they have Netcore like Godot has, I think that would be the moment that they really convince me. Yeah, the problem is when there is a problem. Yeah, it's always like that. It's the same experience that I had with Unity. It's like, as long you stay in the rails of what they can do and do well, it's all smooth sailing. The moment you want to do something a little bit different, yeah. Godot is eating Unity's lunch a lot. Is it? I don't know. I watch that YouTube channel that is always showing like projects in Godot, and apart from, you know, what is the road to Vostok, yeah, I never see anything really interesting coming out in Godot. It's always look like super fringe indie. Yeah, and from what I hear, because I only used Unity for super how you say, experiment, right? I never really try to create something. But from what I read is like they have these bad habits of starting stuff and just leave it there to die. From this point of view, Unreal seems to be more consistent. You know, they stick with stuff a little bit more. You're still on 5.6. How come? Did you try to update and it failed? Ah, you have a pro license, I see. But do you... and okay. So if I remember correctly, if your project is pro license, it will not open in the free version, community version, right? I think it goes one way. It goes from community to pro, but then once it's saved in pro, it's like, okay, you need the pro license. Yeah. Where didn't I thought they were going to get rid of it, even in the free version, because it was something that from a marketing point of view doesn't make any sense if you think about it. Because statistically, I would imagine that the people creating games with the free version create worse games than the one that use the pro version, right? So you're basically advertising your engine with the worst games, right? But then, you know, my two favorite games at the moment, which is the Ark Knights and the Genshin Impact, are both Unity, right? So those are the games that you probably... I was really impressed with Ark Knights. I downloaded and played a little bit. Although, you know, with those games, I say they're my favorite games. The visuals are my favorite, right? When it comes to the game itself, I don't understand how people can enjoy it, honestly. I don't get it. So real games that are bad, don't put the logo on it. Yeah, it's I had a feeling that they were going to get rid of it for 6. I didn't check. I never had the pro version, so I keep trying it. But I think Godot is good. It's definitely getting better and better. But again, until you try to really use it and go deep, my understanding of this engine is very limited. Very, very limited. By the way, so I was in the toilet and I was thinking, okay, so what if instead of importing my tennis sim Jai, okay, so what if instead of importing it here, I'm gonna import it here. Am I going to be still able to see tennis? Ah, you see, now I cannot see tennis. See how confusing this all is. I'm working on a tennis game. I spent the last couple of years since I finished Idle Generation. I tried to come up with a series of ideas. I did have a couple of decent ideas, I think, but they're not game. I don't think they are games that I can realistically make by myself with my wife. It's just impossible. So I was just working on my engine stuff and so on. It's okay, I really need to make a game. And, you know, I have three big passions in my life, which is game programming, guitar, and tennis. So I said, all right, I'll make a tennis game. And then if something else comes with a good idea, I will switch. But I think this is a good project for us. I think it's a project that we can definitely do well. I think the gameplay, I can definitely make a fun tennis game to play. I'm obsessed about tennis, so I'm sure I can do it. And when it comes to content, it's very challenging when it comes to animations. So obviously, Chucks will have to step up the game. Yes, full 3D, but I'm going for a more I'm not going for a realistic look. So I want to do something, you know, the thing that excites me at the moment is really that kind of Genshin Impact, Arknights, anime mix style. I really like it. It's very difficult to put it off, but we'll see. So for now, the idea is tennis with anime girls. That's the idea at the moment. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, I don't want to make a simulator. So I don't want to make like a super serious simulator, blah, blah. But I think having superpowers and trick shots, it just triggers my simulator developer instinct. I don't know if I can do that. We will see. We'll see if I can integrate it in a way that doesn't become ridiculous. Like, for example, you know, sometimes it's like when they start to add, you know, there were some tennis games in the past that started to put things like diving for a shot, right? And the thing just becomes ridiculous because diving in tennis is something that you will see in Wimbledon like one time every 4 sets or something like that. It's very, very rare. And then, you know, in these games, you know, where diving is like every point was like, you know, 5 dives and 3, you know, shots between the legs and so on. This is the, yeah, we were talking about that. I saw Asmongold playing it. It's like just, oh my God. It reminds me, there is an episode of South Park where they make fun of Family Guy, where basically like the episode of Family Guy where, what was it, Wales or something like that brought like random stuff and they will just put it together and make an episode. That game with horse racing with anime girls felt like they created it the same way. They just went like, hey, ChatGPT, give me an idea of a game, and came up with that. It's crazy, but it's fantastic that you can have you can still have his stories like this, where you have game development coming up with this stuff. Like recently, that what is it, Cairns, the climbing game, the game about climbing. Like if you try to pitch it to somebody, hey, this is a game about climbing where you can control your limbs, blah blah, people will be like, it's gonna sell like 20 copies. Yeah, there you go. Huge game, huge success, fantastic. So yeah, what I said at the beginning of the stream was like, right now it's more like what I know I don't want to do. So I know that I don't want to do a realistic, especially a realistic game where you play Sinner against Alcaraz on Wimbledon center court, right? I don't want to do that. First of all, because I think it looks ridiculous. Like unless you are a AAA company that can throw millions to make facial reconstruction, is always going to look terrible. It's always going to look absolutely ridiculous. Even if you use Unreal Engine, if there's like a couple of people doing it, it's always going to look absolutely terrible and full uncanny valley. So I know I don't want to do that. Definitely I don't want to get into licensing. I did that all my life with Assetto Corsa. I ended up doing that with Hydrofall Generation, with the CLGP license, and it was incredibly frustrating. I hate to deal with licenses. It's so frustrating. So I definitely don't want to get, I don't think ATP, I don't think you can deal with ATP and get all the players. I think you will have to deal with every player separately, which is gonna, right, multiply the pain by every player that you want to add. So yeah, definitely, I know I don't want to do that. I don't want to do a multiplayer game. Hydrofall Generation, if I can look at Hydrofall Generation and say, what is the biggest mistake? The biggest mistake was not going, first of all, figure out how to get some kind of racing against AI. Like the ability to play single player is extremely important. I don't want to get into multiplayer testing. I don't want to spend like one day coding and then you start a test and things break immediately and you're like, holy shit, I waste one day of work and nothing works, and now I don't even know how to figure out what is broken. And now you have to find a group of beta testers and organizing a test. It's incredibly frustrating. So that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to do multiplayer. I don't want to do realistic graphics. I don't want to do real players. I tried to do a climbing game that felt like climbing, but I couldn't come up with any good. I actually haven't tried it. I only watched some stream of people playing it, but from the streams I couldn't understand how it worked. So I don't understand the mechanics. But it seems to be a thing now. There is this technology. I don't think it's the same technology, but I'm sure you've seen there are a couple of RPG games that have this physics-based control in sword fighting. I don't remember was it half sword or something like that? Mm-hmm. So that's also, I think, a fascinating game style. Half sword, yeah. I haven't played that. As I said, I don't play much. I tend to watch streamers more than play. Very passive. Anyway, I was talking about this thing about Jai that is very confusing, right, Ian? I don't know if you know about this, but what is happening is that, you know, I still find the scope stuff super weird. Like if I have this load tennis sim here, what is happening is that, so this is inside a scope file. And in this scope file, I have a global struct, anonymous struct, and I can see this. But then I also have this player struct that is also inside the same scope file. And if I go in the other file, I cannot see it. It's super weird. That's one thing that it's really always catching me off guard with Jai. You know, all this scope file, scope module, it behaves in weird ways. Does not respect where you put it. Yeah, right? Because you see, like, first of all, what I was saying is like, it's really difficult to understand, right? I know I read that, I was reading yesterday that they were saying that on your editor, I don't know how much you wrote of, what's the name of the Jai editor? Oh, my memory. Right. But I read that there is like focus, that there is a different coloration, so it makes it really obvious what is scope file and what is not. Because in a big file like this, right, I go to tennis, right, and it's like, all right, okay, is this scope file or not? Who knows? Right, and how do I know? I have to find where scope file is, right? Remember the line and go like, ah, okay, you know. I found it really annoying. Now, obviously, I understand, right? You know, what is the alternative? The alternative is to have something like, you know, pub in every single thing. Does my... I think I'm... Yes, my love? You're going? Yeah, see you later, my love. Do I even have it? Because I think Giles does everything. Yeah. Yeah, I think there are a lot of stuff that he doesn't understand anymore. Yeah, it's called the language. I don't think I have it. Although I remember at a certain point it was needed for the syntax highlight, like Giles wasn't doing the syntax highlight, but I think now I just use Giles for everything. Yeah, so I don't have it anymore. Yeah, probably I should figure out something to introduce it in Giles, but I don't know how to do it, right? I don't know. Coloration is not really our... Probably, you know, the way to do it will have to have some kind of lens. Or at the very least, you know, if I hover, I don't know. You know, it will tell me. I don't like Fox. I don't know. I didn't really try because I got so used to Visual Studio Code. Lately, I tried Z, but the debugging is not really working. So maybe I should. I don't think Focus has completion, right? I think it's nice, Zed. For me, the showstopper was the fact that I couldn't debug. So like, I really don't want to use another debugger. I like the fact that in Visual Studio Code I have everything. So yeah, so definitely I don't like that. And then so there is this thing. So you know, I'm loading this file. So if I load it here, I can see the anonymous struct, but I cannot see the other structs, right? What happens if I load it in here, like at the top of the file, not in the scope file? Now we cannot see it. Okay. But see, it's incredibly confusing. It's incredibly confusing. But this is what I want. Okay, this is actually what I want. So this is correct. Which one? Visual pseudocode? I think it's got so much. It's got so much stuff now that once you get used to it, with Rust is just fantastic. Is just fantastic. As I said, Z with Rust is fine. Apart from the debugging, I couldn't debug. Just put all the loads together in a top file and don't have issues. Yeah, I've seen people in Jai. I see also John's code tends to put it at the bottom, but they always have this very surprising bleeds of stuff. Like what I was saying, I was talking about this. I don't know if you know this. Probably you do. But the moment you import something like this, then you see everything. Right? All the stuff in Gamepad that is scope file, now you see it. And I remember how incredibly confusing it was, because I prefer this style. Like if it was for me, I will have this all the way. Yeah, under Gamepad, yes. So basically you lose any kind of encapsulation. And the explanation from John, which makes sense. No, I don't like it. The explanation is, I understand it. It's like I was saying, he's more worried about name pollution and name resolutions rather than really having an encapsulation system. I don't think he doesn't see it as an encapsulation mechanism. He sees it as, okay, I want to make sure that if I write this thing, it's very clear who is getting called without surprises. I understand that. But the inconsistency, I find it really weird. Really, really weird. From that point of view, I don't know if you've seen like C3. C3 is great. It's like, yeah, from that point of view, it's way more consistent. I think also Odin is like that, probably. I think also Odin forces you to namespace everything, but I'm not sure. Obviously, the beautiful thing about Jai is that, look at this code. It's like no noise. No noise. It's only what is needed. Absolutely no noise. No bureaucracy, no nothing. Constant, non-constant. It's an implied constant here, but, it's super clear. I imagine you could disallow access to those names with a meta program. Yeah, you could. Yeah. I tried to write a unused variable warning in my meta program, but at a certain point last week, I found a case where it will break and it will give me warning all the time, and I just disable it. I really like unused variable warnings. I think they're incredibly useful. Like I was porting some of my code from Jai to Rust. So I ported it to Rust like line by line. I just translated line by line, and I compiled it in Rust. And basically I found a bug because Rust told me, hey, this variable is unused. And I was like, what do you mean it's unused? And I found that in the place where I thought I was using it, I was using something else. Good as well, bad as error. No, yeah. Otherwise, you go with Zig. Zig for me is like, forget it. It's like, the point is that I understand if I'm using something like Rust, which is constantly annoying, right? It's like dealing with a very annoying colleague, but at least I understand what I'm getting in return with Rust, right? So it's like, okay, this is worth it, right? I understand it. You're breaking my balls, but I understand why you're doing it. Zig gives me the impression that he's doing it for no return. Like, okay, yeah, but my program says, all the unfreed memory that I get in Jai, so I rather use Jai that doesn't break my balls. And then it compiles in a microseconds. I think Zig is got better. I think now they have their own backend where it compiles faster. Yeah, Jai is like, do whatever you want, mate. Go for it. I trust you. Like, Rust is like, no, I don't trust you. This is not good enough. Convince me. Jai is like, yeah, go for it. Go for it. You got this. Anyway, guys, I think it's been 3 hours. I'm gonna take a break. I'll probably come back this afternoon for more compatible European times. It was good to be back. Let me check. I have to figure out a way to check this YouTube chat because I'm really just checking the Twitch chat. It doesn't make any sense. If I stream in both platforms, I should check the thing. Yeah, you should sleep. Yeah. Still 11 o'clock here in sunny Australia. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Ciao.